We wrestle with God because we know the right thing, but the fear within us, the emotional part of us, doesn't want it. We're scared to trust God. We think we know what we know, but we don't know. It sounds kind of funny, but it's true. We think we know, and we don't know anything. He thought he knew his brother. He thought, it's like, okay, 20 years later, my brother's still angry with me. He's coming with 400 men, and they're going to wipe us out. And on the surface, it looks that way, and God planned it that way. He didn't let a message come back from Esau saying everything's fine, because he wanted Jacob to face his problem, which is fear of the mistake that he made. We make mistakes and we fear the mistakes, but that's the problem. We don't trust God with the mistakes because we can't unscramble our eggs, but God can. So we wrestle with God. Well, God, I know what you want me to do, but I know what I want to do. And we wrestle back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when Jesus saw that he prevailed not against, when Jesus saw that he prevailed not against Jacob, Jesus touched the hollow of his thigh, of Jacob's thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And Jesus said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And Jacob said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." Well, this isn't just, the issue is really not about blessing. It's about his brother. It's about his fear. It's about that situation. But the thing is, he didn't have to wrestle with God. He didn't have to wrestle with him. God had already taken care of it. Remember, we know the story. When Esau got there, he was happy to see him. Jacob didn't know it. So Jacob spent that time wrestling with Jesus, and he didn't have to. And we spend time wrestling with Jesus when we don't need to. Trying to unscramble the eggs that God has already unscrambled. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." And he said unto him, "What is thy name?" And he said, "Jacob." And Jesus said, "Thy name shall be no more called Jacob, but Israel." But it's interesting because Jacob means trickster. But Israel means prince with God. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. See, there was an impartation that happened here. He didn't get the impartation. He didn't get the impartation because he wrestled with God. He got a hip out of joint because he wrestled with God. Because he tarried with God, he spent the time with him. He got the name Israel. He could have just as easily spent the time in the presence of God without wrestling with him, saved his hip, still got the name. You see my point? It's like, he didn't get the goods because he wrestled with Jesus. He got the goods, he got the name, he got the power because he was in the presence of God. He would have still got it and saved his hip if he wouldn't have wrestled with him. Thy name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. You see, when we tarry with God, guess what he gives us? Power with God and with men. My wife and I, God has blessed us with favor. But it's not because we wrestle with God. It's not because we happen to be good. It's not because we happen to minister to people. It's only because of the anointing. And the anointing is there only because we tarry in the presence of God. And we don't have anything that any other person on the face of the earth can have. People in positions of authority like to set themselves up as separate and distinct. It's like, you can't get this. But that is absolutely a lie from the pit of hell. There's nothing my wife and I have that everybody else can have.
And more.
In fact, we encourage you. It's like when they came to Moses and said, they're prophesying in the camp and we have to stop. And he said, oh, would to God that all men could prophesy. All men would prophesy. And it's like, yes, I want that. I want whatever we want to share with everyone. We want everyone to have that. But I'm not interested in having my hip put out of joint in the process. Life is tough enough. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is that thou asked after my name? And he blessed him. And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. That's how we know that it was Jesus Christ he wrestled with. I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. God will always bring us to that place where we can encounter him. When it comes to that time of facing the fear, he gets us away from all the stuff that distracts us. It brings us to a place where we can't see anything, so that we can focus on what we can see, which is Jesus.
Amen.
And then we decide, will I wrestle with God, get my hip out of joint, or will I tarry in his presence instead and still get the blessing? Wow. He's already unscrambled the eggs. But can you deal with that before you get to him? Can you accept the fact that he's taking care of it for you? That you don't have to fix it? That's the issue. Do you have to wrestle with God? Or can you just tarry in his presence and still get the goods? And that's our message for today.
Wow.